Did Kyle Larson back up his bold statement after his Bristol dominance a few weeks ago? Hasn't anyone learned from Dale Jr.'s run through the grass in Texas a few years ago that you just can't do that? What did I do with this week's first pick? What do you do to marinate your steaks? All this coming up on this Sunday edition of Racin-n-Braisin. All right, guys, welcome back to Racin-n-Braisin. I am CJ. It is Sunday morning, and yes, we got a couple things on the agenda. We're going to talk about what we have seen so far this weekend in the racing at Texas Motor Speedway. Talk about what Cup has done so far with on-track practice and qualifying, and then talk about the picks that were made this morning between myself and my mom. We'll wrap it up with a quick discussion about steak marinades and a short how-to on how I marinate my steak. Be on the lookout later today. I am going to put together a how-to video on how I sear my steaks. So let's dive into it with action so far this weekend with the Xfinity Series and Truck Series. Both of those series had their practice and qualifying rained out, so their first laps on track were under green flag conditions with the entire field out there. That definitely did produce a lot more cautions than what would normally be seen there. With that being said, and my little comment in the early part of the video, didn't anybody learn from Dale Jr. when he tore his car apart a few years ago in the dogleg? Well, I guess not. The wet grass definitely was hungry and ate up a lot of cars. Some big wrecks this weekend in both series. Thankfully, all the drivers so far have been okay that I have heard. There were some massive wrecks. A couple of cars just really getting pancaked. That truck race ended really late. There was a late red flag because of a late caution requiring some wall repair very late in the race. Corey Heim ended up winning. So it was Heim time in Texas on Friday. And then that led us to Saturday's afternoon race with the Xfinity Series. Kyle Larson held true to his statement that he wanted to go out there and embarrass the Xfinity Series every time he's out there. He definitely did that. He came from the back twice yesterday. Finally assumed the lead with some 50 laps to go. A final green flag cycle of pit stops unfortunately ended the day for Justin Allgaier, who looked like the only other dominant car that was out there. Aside from, I think you could argue, Nick Sanchez had a really dominant car yesterday as well. But unfortunate to see Allgaier's day end early. For Allgaier, it is checkers or wreckers. And I'm sure at his age, he's probably starting to get tired of taking those big hits. A couple of big ones this year for sure. It definitely looked like a second lane was developing and the groove was widening out at the track, which I think is going to play good news for the racing action today. Now, as we have seen, Carson Hocevar has grabbed his first career pole of note. That is the second pole this year for Spire Motorsports, second pole in their franchise history. It comes on another mile and a half. Remember earlier this year, Michael McDowell captured the pole at Las Vegas. Spire has figured something out for single lap speed at a mile and a half. So let's see if they can do anything about creating long run speed and putting together a whole race. They're definitely on the up and up, and good things are coming out of that program for sure. So that leads us into today's picks in the regular season competition between myself and my mom. I have first pick today, and I am within striking distance, as you can see, only 10 points off. I surprised her this morning. She definitely thought I was going to grab the hot hand Larson, but I decided, you know what, that just wasn't on my radar, to be honest with you. I went with Bowman the Showman. It looked like he is positioned well for the start, and even though Ty Gibbs and Austin Cindric were both at the top of those charts for long run speed yesterday, it looked like Bowman was getting better as the runs were going along. So I'm hoping that plays true. That left the rest of the field, including Larson, for Mom, but she didn't pick him. She ended up going with Ty Gibbs today, which actually surprised me. So both surprises for both of us. I think the key factor for both of those picks today is that those drivers and teams need to have completely flawless days to produce a good result. Drivers all weekend have been saying so far that it is incredibly difficult to pass here at Texas Motor Speedway. So track position is going to play a pivotal role in today's race. So that's what I've got for picks here for you today. Let's talk about my steak to go along with today's 400-mile event. Now, I am going to marinate my steak. There is a debate about whether you need to or not. I like the marinade because it adds extra flavor profile into the steak. You know, just a dry brine of a steak works great where you're just using olive oil and coarse salt to season before you sear. There are 3 common steak marinades that I have found out there throughout the years. A garlic and herb, which is going to include some soy sauce, Worcestershire, extra virgin olive oil, basically as your liquids. And your aromatics would be the garlic, of course, and some sort of herb like a thyme or a rosemary. And that, of course, is going to give you that flavor profile of savory, aromatic, and slightly tangy because of the garlic. Another marinade that is common to find would be like an Asian style soy ginger marinade, where you've got the soy sauce as your liquid. Instead of olive oil, you would use a sesame oil, but only a slight amount because that is a very strong flavor. And then, of course, your ginger there. So that's going to produce a profile that is a little sweet, definitely salty, umami rich for sure because of that soy sauce dominating the marinade there. And then finally, a third one that you'll commonly find, this you would find more in classical French preparations where it'd be more of a balsamic vinegar and Dijon marinade. So that would produce a tangy, sweet, definitely a sharp flavor to it, a very noticeable flavor profile with that. What I have developed over the years, very basic. Mine uses Worcestershire, soy sauce, extra virgin olive oil, garlic powder, and black pepper. And we'll show you that here right now. All right, guys. So we've got everything we need here to marinate our steak. This steak came from Aldi. It's a ribeye, grass-fed, grass-finished. So it's gonna tastes really clean, nutrient dense whenever you get grass-fed, grass-finished. So I'm always looking for that. That's the best quality of steak that you can definitely get. This weighed out just over 10 ounces. So once we cook it down, it's probably going to be a solid 8 ounces just because of the loss of moisture in the cooking process. So I've got everything ready to go here. You'll notice I've got it in a gallon bag. This is the method that I've been doing for a while now. I throw anything that I'm marinating into a gallon bag, into a bowl, and just let it go. We're not going to need a lot of any of what we're using, but what we are going to use here today is our black pepper, our garlic, Worcestershire sauce is ready to go, some soy sauce, and some extra virgin olive oil. So we're going to start off with the black pepper. I don't use a measurement. But I go pretty generous, even a little bit more than that. And then same with the garlic powder. I'd say probably even amount there. That right there, between the two, is probably a tablespoon combined. Let's do the Worcestershire sauce. Now remember, this is a lot of salt here, so we're not going to go overboard. There's a little bit of fish in the Worcestershire, the anchovy in there that gives it that interesting brininess, right? That I really like the flavoring of it. So just like that, couple seconds worth, really not a lot. And then the soy sauce, a little bit more on the soy sauce, because we want this marinade to cover everything. And then finally, a quick drizzle of our extra virgin olive oil. And then that's it. And then here we are. We're just going to let everything get together, take a little bit of the air out. And now I am just going to rotate the steak in here. Get it all covered, get that pepper and garlic distributed throughout the liquid here. Just a couple of seconds like that. And now, here's the important part. We're going to get everything flattened in the bag. You notice I opened it up so I can manipulate a little bit better here without it bouncing back. And now, roll it over, get it flattened in the bag, if that makes any sense to you. That's the way I can describe it. Boom. And then I'm going to wrap the edges over like this. And there we go. Steaks in the marinade. This is going to go in the refrigerator for 2 to 3 hours. And then I'm going to pull it out of the refrigerator and let it sit, get to room temperature for an hour before I do anything else with it. And we'll dive into that later. All right, guys, so that does it. That's how I marinate my steak. We're going to let that rock for a couple of hours before I pull that out, drain it real good, pat it dry, and then hit it with some salt before I put it on a pan to do a sear. And we'll put that video together for you here this afternoon. I'll show you guys how to get a perfectly seared steak every single time. Enjoy the racing, guys. Today at Texas Motor Speedway, coverage kicks off at 2 o'clock for a 3:30 race on FS1. I hope you all are having a great weekend so far, and may the 4th be with you. Take care, guys. Bye.